Many years ago, Street Fighter Alpha released and changed the series forever. It gave a new character named Charlie the first ever dash ability, which allowed him to quickly advance on the opponent, while everyone else still had to walk. Not just for this game, but for every previous Street Fighter game too. Charlie was the first character who could dash, and players loved it. So soon enough, every character was given this ability. There was no going back. Street Fighter had been changed forever. And Street Fighter 6 has done something similar. Many new gameplay features and abilities have changed the series in a big way, and I doubt the games are ever going back. So today's video is all about how Street Fighter 6 changed the series forever, because most players love these changes, and while some hardcore fans don't, the majority tends to rule in these situations. So like it or not, I don't think Street Fighter will ever be the same, because Street Fighter 6 truly has changed the game forever. If you love Street Fighter 6, or just Street Fighter in general, please leave a like down below, and if we get 2,000 likes, I'll buy this awesome Chun-Li statue on screen. Please don't make me buy this, it's very expensive, but man, I also want to have it. Then for anyone new, please consider subscribing, because I post fighting game content every 2 days or so, from Street Fighter to Mortal Kombat and everything in between. So alright everyone, without any further ado, let's begin. One of the biggest new changes to Street Fighter 6 was modern controls, and many casual fans love this feature, especially new players to fighting games, which is why I don't think this feature is ever going away, even though many hardcore fans hate it. Because actually, most modern fighting games have this feature, aside from Mortal Kombat, ironically enough. I personally dislike auto combos, but don't mind modern controls too much, especially since it nerfs your damage and limits which moves you can use. So it's a literal catch-22. While modern controls do make supers and special moves much easier, along with basic combos, your character does less damage and you lose access to some key normals, which means there's benefits to both playstyles, and I love that. My biggest fear with modern controls is when it becomes better than traditional controls in every way. That's my biggest fear, so hopefully that never happens. But yeah, in short, Street Fighter 6 added modern controls and they're never going away. Street Fighter 7's gonna have them, Street Fighter 8's gonna have it, along with every other fighting game sequel going forward. Modern controls are here to stay. But next up, we have full EX meter at the start of each match. I love how modern fighting games are doing this, pretty much every single one. In previous games, you started with 0 meter, no EX attacks were available, and you had to slowly build your meter over time, which limits what the player can do until they build that meter, so the start of each match was really boring since every character was limited. But Street Fighter 6 gives you full meter immediately, which means you can do like 3 or 4 EX attacks right away if you want to, burn all that meter in a single combo, be flashy if that's your thing. And I freaking love that because it makes the match exciting right away, not just when you're playing, but even when watching others play the game. Having access to your EX meter right away just feels amazing. It feels right. And Street Fighter 6 is not the only game doing this. Fatal Fury City of the Wolves is doing this, and the list goes on. More and more modern fighting games are giving players access to their meter immediately, just a full EX bar right at the start. By the way, for any Mortal Kombat fans watching, EX meter is what lets you do enhanced special attacks. In previous games, you had to build it up, but now you have the whole thing right away, which sounds overpowered, but it's actually not, because there's the catch-22. The game does punish you for emptying your entire meter, so it's not unga boonga nonsense, spend all your meter without a care in the world. No, if you do that, your character gets gassed, losing access to their EX moves for a good while, and also getting terrible defense too. Or in other words, you still have to use your brain in Street Fighter 6. You may have full meter, but spend it wisely. I imagine the next Street Fighter game will treat your meter the exact same way, because nobody wants to go back to slowly building meter over time and starting off at ground zero. It's just not fun. So yeah, even if you're a longtime Street Fighter fan like myself, get used to this new system, because I don't think Capcom's ever gonna walk it back. The good old days of earning meter over time are gone. I think almost every fighting game going forward is gonna give you full meter at the start and penalize you for spending all of it right away. But oh boy, next up is a truly controversial mechanic in Street Fighter 6. Out of everything mentioned so far, this new ability has fans the most split, because some players like myself love this feature while other fans despise this new mechanic, so it really has divided the Street Fighter fan base. And I'm talking about running, otherwise known as Drive Rush. Essentially, your character can sprint at the enemy now as long as they have some meter available, so it's not free but also not expensive. Or in other words, players are running around all the time in Street Fighter 6, which has upset a lot of long-time fans because Street Fighter's always been been about footsies traditionally. You walk forward, you walk back, and slowly move towards the opponent because dashing was really risky. Since you couldn't block right away, your character had to finish the dash animation before you could block, and while it was a tiny window, your opponent could still react to the dash and hit you before you could block, so it was a bit risky. However, Street Fighter 6 said screw that, just run on the opponent if you want to. You can even block while running after the initial startup, so yeah, it's really good. Then on block strings, it makes you more plus, it gives you new mix-ups that combo while normally they would not, so that's crazy too. For example, an overhead normally doesn't combo in Street Fighter, but if you run into the overhead, now suddenly it combos because more frame advantage. Yeah, this new run ability is really good, but thankfully it does cost meter. Some games just let you do it, right? Other fighting games just let you run whenever you want to, which can feel overpowered at times and very oppressive. Street Fighter 6 does not do that. It does cost meter to run, which I think was a fantastic option and does balance out Drive Rush a little bit. Now that being said, it is possible that Street Fighter 7 keeps this mechanic and characters will still be able to run, so just prepare yourself for that, longtime fans. The run ability might be here to stay. However, unlike every other mechanic mentioned so far in this video, I do think the run ability has a chance of disappearing for the sequel. Or in other words, I don't think it's guaranteed to stay. It could go away. However, that also being said, I do think a few characters would still have the run ability, kind of like Rashid in Street Fighter V. He was the only character who could run, pretty much. So even if the universal run ability goes away, I think plenty of characters in Street Fighter 8 will still be able to run. Does that make sense? Am I explaining this well? I hope so. The run ability might not be for everyone in the future, but I do think a good chunk of Street Fighter characters in future games will have a run ability or something equivalent to that, just like Rashid in Street Fighter V. Oh, and actually there's one more big change in Street Fighter 6 that I almost forgot to talk about, and that's the dizzy state, which is much harder to achieve in Street Fighter 6. In past games, you just hit the opponent enough in a short amount of time and they would get dizzy, which pretty much gave you a free combo follow-up. Some characters were easy to stun than others, and certain attacks did more stun than other attacks, but essentially if you eat enough hits to the face fast enough, you will get dizzy. However, that changed in Street Fighter 6 because you can't dizzy the opponent unless they're in burnout, and that only happens when they run out of meter. Now you do lose meter from blocking or getting hit in Street Fighter 6, but even so, getting dizzy in Street Fighter 6 is much harder than in past Street Fighter games, and I'm not sure if I like this or not, because on the one hand it does feel more fair since in past games you were already losing, right? Lost lots of health from getting hit, then you got dizzied on top of that and lost even more health. The whole thing kind of snowballed, which felt great when you got the opponent dizzy, but felt terrible when you got dizzied because come on, I'm already losing and now I'm gonna lose even harder. Street Fighter 6 kind of fixed that by making dizzy harder to achieve, but I'm not sure if this change should stick around in future games. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Me personally, I do think dizzy is very hard on newcomers to fighting games, so if Street Fighter wants to grow its audience, then maybe it should keep this change to dizzy. However, longtime fans might be a bit disappointed. And alright everyone, there you have it. All the big changes in Street Fighter 6 that I think are here to stay for future Street Fighter games. Whether it's Street Fighter 7, Street Fighter 8, you get the idea. Whether it's modern controls or having full EX meter at the start of each round, and even the run ability, I think many of these new mechanics are here to stay. Which means, like mentioned earlier, Street Fighter 6 really has changed the series forever. Which is really cool to me, honestly, because it rarely happens in fighting games for new big changes to happen like this and then stick around for games to come. Just like mentioned earlier at the very start of this video today, Charlie Nash was the first ever Street Fighter character who could dash. Before that, players could only walk back and forth, and actually now that I think about it, could Charlie dash backwards or was it just forward? I'm not entirely sure, but regardless, he changed the series forever. Now every single character in Street Fighter can dash, and I think Street Fighter 6 did something similar. But let me know in the comments if you disagree or if you simply don't like these new changes. I want to know any and all of your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thanks for watching everyone, and I hope you enjoyed. If you did, leave a like down below and then check out this video on screen right now, where I take every character in Street Fighter, then throw them into the Mortal Kombat verse to find out which characters can survive, and which characters die, and which characters suffer a fate worse than death. It's a super fun video and went kinda viral at over 100,000 views in less than a couple of weeks, so that's badass. If you're a new viewer, don't forget to subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss any future videos. Make sure to come back next time, and as always, stay underdogs.